Hello to my fellow humans. This is a bit different from what I usually do here. I usually do the interview and hangout-ish thing. Um, but this time I have somebody on who's a bit unsuspecting. I've got some complex feelings about the Trans Day of Remembrance, which, as I record this, is tomorrow, and as it's getting posted, is tomorrow, November 20th. And the simplest way to put it is it primarily recognizes the trans people who have been killed in the last year. And as somebody in her 50s who is white passing and who is not at the higher risk of any of this, the way I came up with it as I'm trying to fall asleep last night was that I don't feel that I am carrying these people, mostly women of color. I don't feel like I'm carrying them with this act of speaking their names. I feel like I'm taking from them, that I'm appropriating their stories, which I would never want to do, and I don't know how to get around that idea. I have somebody here who I've been talking to for the last hour, but we've just been talking. I deliberately did not say what I was going to say at the beginning here. So she, I never asked her asked pronouns.
She, her, or they, them.
Okay. Then I don't, I deliberately did not say, and just rearrange the sentence, what I was going to say. And they're here to kind of live react to what I'm saying more than anything, and to either talk me out of it or agree with it. So Alex, also known as Ozma in the Dark, is here, and welcome, Alex. Okay.
Hi. So I definitely sympathize with that because like I'm also at no risk, and it's a shame. I take it. I take it you weren't able to get a transform of color on here.
What's that? No,
I take it you weren't able to get a transform of color.
No. As a matter of fact, I did try to. I got a lot of it's a black thing you wouldn't understand, which okay. Like I said, I'm white passing. I'm Hispanic. Abby is not my real. It is not my born name. As well, it's not my legal name. So yeah, even in that, I'm kind of like, I don't know what to do with that. Maybe.
I I think the best things I can think of doing, because um, is yeah, because trying to get um, I mean, there's only so much you can do now. But I don't know how many trans women of color connections you have, how many people you can uh, uh, get try to uh, try to talk to places to uh, you know um, suggest them, like if you can. Uh, I did not I did not expect the aspect of this uh, uh, subject, because this is also something I care about. So I guess I mean, I guess I was kind of okay. Um, but yeah, like the last thing I know. I mean, for one thing, last thing I want to do is talk over trans women of color. That's the
Yes.
last thing I want to do. um, and uh, like there needs to be a lot more publicity on this. I mean, this is um, I mean, I guess the best thing I can think of, if you want to uh, or so what exactly are you doing for speaking about this, or is it just this? I don't know.
There is tomorrow. There is a non well uh, non-religious church service. It's a service in the church, but it's for trans people only. And
Okay.
it's a readout of the names and
Are there
somewhat of their stories, which is great. But yeah,
yeah
the appropriation. It's I almost didn't.
are there oh sorry
Well, I almost didn't want to get a trans person of color on because I'm not looking for someone to assuage white guilt either, and I'm not trying to get into that space. That's not what the space is that I'm in. It's kind of the space of it's not my story. It's not my story. I mean, if they, I, hmm, I hate to say it. If this is where I'm gonna either get into trouble or hopefully not, and hopefully people understand that I'm doing my best to be sensitive around this issue. If it was about suicide or trying to deal with suicide, um, I would get that more. That would be part of my story. Um,
yeah
but I can empathize, but I don't want to feel like I am taking away. Um, and again, it's complicated. I did it last year, but I wasn't on hormones or anything. I had a whole different mindset of what I went in there with. And this year, now that I'm someone, way into the hormones, and I feel like a human being again. And, I'm kind of like, okay, it's. I know. I told you I wasn't going to tell you exactly where I was. It's just that I had complicated feelings on the whole matter. So,
Yeah.
um,
Well, and I mean, yeah, it's an understandable thing to have complicated feelings about. I think the because a lot of it, I definitely want there to be. I think it would be good to mention the um, wow, my brain just died for words. The thing when you're part of two minority groups, uh, or more than one minority group. Um, wow. Uh, oh my god. Thing they talk about a lot. Looking it up because well, I uh, like I don't know my I'll be when this goes up on YouTube, you'll have tons of comments saying like exactly what's the word estrogen an idiot. But yeah, no, it's because this is one of those things where uh, you know some people I think are looking for excuses, and when they have more than one, I think they're more motivated. And women of color uh, and trans, like, yeah, the shit's that's going on in Texas is nuts. And
yeah.
and and yeah, and the fact that these are just the people we know about.
I think that maybe part of it. I mean, the I get the whole, say my name deal, and that's, I shouldn't put a deal. That's not right either. But again, I'm trying to go just off the top. I know the importance of say my name. Um, the I mean, the person who is running it, I have to tell bits of my story here. The person who is running it is a trans woman of color. My
Okay.
my great grandmother, who was and though she's gone 20 years now, she's still my favorite person ever in the whole wide world, and she was a black activist in her youth, being a black woman in Hollywood. Um, but I'm very white passing, so it's part of, maybe have some kind of hangover guilt from just being able to not have the Hispanic or the black. Um, baggage.
Well, I mean, I think it's one of those things where sometimes it's hard to like. I'm not super familiar with how to speak about tragedies that occur that you know um, like wouldn't have happened. There's no way they would happen to me. Like almost no way. Like it's um, I don't know. It's certainly a different thing, but um, I think, especially because you said stuff last year, definitely you should be there just for because you've already just uh, to suggest that you have continued support. Um, uh, because like I don't know, people like because it's one of those things where it's the potential um, the situation where you're like, I don't want to talk over them, but the same time, like if you just stop showing up, there's the implication where of like you don't think it's as much of a problem anymore, which is also bad. So it's like, uh, or maybe I just obsess over worst case scenarios as well. But I think that support is important and like actively saying that you care about the trans woman of color is important because um, uh, a lot of time they're not talked about and it's not talked about like how some of that the crossover hatred makes it worse for them. So yeah.
Well, do you I don't know. The question of is it appropriation is something that they can that people of color could ask. It's I'm so weird about this because I'm the only one in my family who is white passing. It's definitely not female passing yet, but that's not neither here nor there. Um, like if my brother were to suddenly come out trans, and he wouldn't, you know, because he's definitely told me that. He he wouldn't pass as much, although he's much whiter than I am, which is weirder. Same with my sister, who is, no, you know, uh, I have mentioned it on the channel before, so I'll reiterate. My stepfather was an actual Nazi, so I'm old enough where that's a thing that can happen.
Oh yeah. Oh, I didn't even think about your age. Yeah, no, that actually makes a lot more sense because yeah, because there were the Nazis were weird. Um, the actual Nazis weren't. Or, I mean, they still obviously cared. I don't know. Like if I can remind of reading about the basically a person of color little bit of army in in the Nazis. And it's just like I don't I don't even know. Not with I mean, because obviously their goals are the same, and they pick people off one by one because that's what they did.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's one of those, maybe the complicated feelings is because that's how
Yeah.
I was raised. I mean, my mom looks more and more like an old Spanish woman, which, you know, she is. And the yeah, I never quite understood how they worked, which is a more lighthearted, quote unquote, thing. I mean, it's not lighthearted in its
Well,
implications, but I can laugh about it because he's dead and I'm fine.
well, I mean, the thing is, like, there are. I mean, I saw like a really good Twitter post about like grief, and like there's still like humorous there, like there's a lot of emotions you still feel about things, even if they're just even if the overall thing is tragic. There's stuff that like pisses you off. There's stuff that is funny. There's stuff that it's sad. Also, movies basically show this as well. Like when there's tragic shit, and it's just like, but there's a funny moment, but it's all still tragic.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's I laugh the most when I'm either very depressed or very nervous, or not nervous. I write the few times I've had to do memorials and shit. Um, a lot of joking.
yeah.
Maybe because I'm trying to be serious about this too. I mean, it is a very serious issue, but I'm also, yeah. See, I'm not controlling my voice very well, right? Because now I'm starting to get very self-conscious about this whole thing. Maybe that's part of it. Because last year I wasn't
Well,
self-conscious. I was just in some kind of newly out fog. Yeah.
yeah, and like, I mean, uh, I spent a while being overly self-conscious about things until I was like out all the time for I mean, I still am self-conscious about shit, depending on the day, depending on how I feel. Uh, and, you know, because it's not like I haven't been called sir before,
Yeah.
looking like I do now. Uh, like, but yeah, in terms of this, I think, I mean, for one thing, you're more connected than I am because I'm the whitest person
No.
like mostly German and a little bit of Jewish heritage. I mean, I was born and raised Jewish, but like that's not a thing that at least currently, and that's not a thing I get killed over. I would get killed over or fired over or not hired, especially when it's like not hired if your hair is naturally wrong to them.
No. Yeah. And
But like, and it, but obviously, you know where you are, you know that you don't have the risks, and um, um and you're not the only speaker there, right?
the person who's running the thing is going to do the largest portion of the speaking, and then the local trans mother of all, because we have one of those, is going to probably speak as well. We just read the names a couple of times. Everybody reads one, and sort of go
Okay,
through
so
like that.
okay, so I think you might be overthinking things because you see the responsibility of like not talking over people. You're not talking over anyone. Uh, uh, like I don't know. At least as far as I can tell, and admittedly, always take transparent colors statements over mine.
Yes.
About this, because but I it seems to me, and see now I'm getting self-conscious because I'm like I don't want to give any advice. I'm like the worst person here, like the worst person to give advice. Or at the very least the least connected, not the worst person. I mean, there are worse people to give advice. PewDiePie, Nick Fuentes, those people would be terrible. But
yeah, I was thinking of asking PewDiePie, and I decided not to at the last minute.
No, I think so long as you don't try to take that from them. It doesn't seem like you're doing anything to try to take that from them. And I know it's not your experience, but like the flip side, you being there is important to show that you care. And you saying this shows that you care. And like trans women of color need all the support they can get, like every single bit of support they can get. And just being there, even though it's a small difference, it makes a difference.
I live, well, it's pretty much open. I live in Buffalo, which is it's got a fair minority population. I put out a tweet several days ago when this was first really percolating in my head, that the people of color in my trans support group were, as far as I know, and I'm not entirely sure about one. I know she had been. I don't know if she still was when she was in the support group. But they're both sex workers. It's like no one else there is a sex worker. The two people of color are sex workers. Even that was starting to go. I was starting to go, how is this a thing that's okay? We should all be in sex work. Sorry, that was not what I was going for.
Yeah, no,
they've disappeared now, so I don't know what's happened to them, or one is probably fine. The other one, I don't know. I think the
yeah.
I actually think the weaker of the two is probably the more likely to be fine, which it's, I don't, without giving someone else's story away, I can't really go any further than that. But.
Yeah, no, yeah, no, I totally understand situations like that because, yeah, uh, yeah, it's just. I I I don't know. I don't even know what to say because that's just the that's like part of the awful uh, uh, aspects of shit going on right now, and like I mean the criminalization of sex work is just there to give another excuse to put poor people, especially people of color, in prison,
Yeah.
regardless of if they're exploited, regardless of like the reasons, like yeah, because it wouldn't matter if they're exploited by a pimp or they're working on their own. Like, it's just like, oh, you got money directly for your sex as opposed to indirectly, which is fine. It's fine when it's indirect. It's terrible if it's direct. No, it just I don't even know. I'd be worried. Yeah, no, I'd be worried as fuck too. Yeah, I don't know. This is just a lot of me. I don't know. I don't know because
That's
I can uh, I can see why it's one of those things where clearly you care and you're trying to do the right thing, and sometimes that's hard to figure out, and sometimes it's easy to overthink things and try to find a when a perfect option isn't available, um, and yeah, I mean, yeah, sometimes a perfect option isn't available, and you can only do what you can do,
yeah.
and doing something, uh, showing that you're there, showing that you care. Um, yeah, I don't know. Is there? Have you spoken with the person in charge in terms of like uh, uh, seeing if they're safe, or just in general, just
Well, the person who, yes, I have, but
okay.
I am
That's
no,
that's good.
we're not
That
we're not sure. So
yeah, but like so I just mean like the person in charge could um uh I like I said I don't know all of what's gonna go on, so it's just like because in my mind I'm just like going through the 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 various potential speeches that could go on, and there are a lot of ways for that remembrance. That's just um, to some degree, it's it's out of your hands to some degree, and
Yeah.
the you can only do what you can do, and like showing up, being there, uh, uh, working with the people who matter most about this is uh, it's important. It's important to be there because um, people make a difference more than they think they do, and it's very easy to just be like, oh well, because it's easy to be like, I don't matter. I'm not any help to this. Like I shouldn't. Why even bother showing up? But like that's it's easy to talk yourself out of shit that way, and like even just doing a little, makes a difference, and um and you're not talking over people. You're just you're you're showing that you want to remember these people too.
Which, I definitely do. I think one of them, I talked in a different way about this. I had Steve Shives on, and we talked a little bit about the concept of armchair activism. And I maybe some of it is because my great grandmother was activist for a good chunk of her life, but she kind of had to be in the 40s and 50s. And my mom is still on the ground activist, and what I do is almost entirely online because well, partial disability, but
Yeah, and I um like every little bit matters, and I think that like the last thing I want for there to be done is it's very easy for people to uh, put activism as just like the on the ground protests, um, the rallies, stuff like that, and yes, that is doing something major, and not everyone can do that. Not everyone's in a good position to do that, and I I think the worst thing that you can do is dissuade someone from doing like every little bit they can, like uh, act out, just out and out, out loud disagree with someone when they're being transphobic or being racist or being uh, uh, just just doing, finding the little things that you can do, and it's if enough people, it's sort of like the March of Dimes mentality. I would much prefer that, where it's just like if people know, like people can give more to to uh, uh, to try to help, uh, you know, change these problems from being problems. um,
I like
but
the
like,
analogy, so I do.
well, yeah, because because I mean that's the thing. Like it's so easy to feel like uh, you're not doing anything unless you're doing the grand gestures, and that's not true. Like you like even, and maybe some of it comes from my attitude towards uh, fighting suicidal thoughts or whatever, that
Yeah.
that I did for a while, but it's just like it's not obvious the impact you have, and so it's easy to uh, give up with a lot of things, and you know, um, it's even a little bit is still, and I will actively encourage people to do just a little bit, and that's something I care about. Showing up as many places I can and just mentioning the little things that you can do, because you don't have to do everything. And some people, people want to do more, and some people can do more. Uh, I'm probably going to show up for the ICE protest, the major one going on, because I'm not physically disabled. Uh, and it's just, um, yeah, like, but like, I wouldn't be able to do that uh, uh, with a job. A regular job, because like mentally I would just be dead.
Understood.
Regardless of what it is, it's just like it's hard. Like I realize that some of the stuff is hard to do, like a lot, and the people, and to some degree this is like the sort of propagandistic approach, where like people left wing who are just like only this is enough are the people who get spouted a bunch, and it's like you a little is a lot is great, a little is still good, and um, and maybe when you get comfortable doing a little, you might want to do more. And or maybe like that's all you can do is a little, and people shouldn't be shamed for only, like, maybe people are maybe people are too scared to, and or like they're scared of losing their ability to live if they do too much.
Oh, yeah, there's that.
Whether it be like living with their parents, whether it be like getting fired from the job, whether it be like there's a lot of things, and it's just little stuff. Little stuff matters, and the number of people uh, uh, showing that they care matters.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't take much of a chance um, getting beaten up in my own house, I suppose. That's not always the case, but it's the case right this second. um, the uh, the weirdly enough, because I was out for a period when I was younger, I'm finding this out more and more. What I have, apparently I didn't have as big of a thing about that as, just being a democratic socialist in the 70s and 80s, which, I've been smacked around for that, but okay. But I don't, the trans thing is not a dangerous thing for me to be. And I maybe God,
Yeah.
some of this is also my feelings of being cowardly for not having come out before. I feel cowardly that I went back in the closet and I didn't come out, you know, until it was
I
reasonably safe
mean,
to do so.
yeah, but I mean, I don't know. People, I have a problem with people shaming people for being scared. Like
Yeah.
it, like I don't know. You shouldn't beat yourself up for being scared. And like, you don't like. Yeah, I don't know what I don't know what New York laws were going on, or how long it took them before it was like they didn't immediately fire you. It was fine for them to fire you, because like having a job and having food is important for survival, and that can make things scarier too, because that just adds on top of things.
Well, one of the
And
things,
then not just that, like you see you see the hatred, and you don't know how that's going to be lashed out against you.
yeah, um, yeah, some things I'd have to say offline about the circumstances of,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
the New York, what people don't realize about New York as being a big liberal state or left state. Liberal used to mean left, and when I was young, so I never quite lost that. Sorry.
yeah. I don't fully understand the I don't understand the Twitter politics.
the
I'm still
um,
figuring out where I am politically.
the the New York was Republican until this last election. The governor is Democrat, and but
Yeah,
the legislature was Republican. So for all of being a leftist state, so trans protections came in this year.
yeah.
In New York City, there's trans protections, but wasn't in New York State as a whole.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, that that makes sense. I mean, like a similar thing with, I mean, even though like California is very like on the line of liberal and conservative, and like people like see the most liberal parts and they're just like, yeah, uh, or left leaning or whatever. Darn you, internet. Darn you, internet, for changing. Like, no, we'll just go all boomer for that. No, the, th- the thing is, like, um, yeah, like Minnesota had protections in like, I think technically job protection since like 1990. Now, how often those laws were enforced is another story, because
Yeah,
there's also that. So like, and I don't know, I don't know, it's hard to like, it's easy to be afraid of social isolation, as well, like losing like the fear of losing anyone who could be your friend or whatever, that no one would want to, the idea that no one would want to be with you because you're like a freak or whatever. Sorry, that's where my mind often went for me. um and yeah, it's just, and yeah, there, like, no matter who you are, there's always someone who has it worse than you. And like the important thing is to like, obviously it's not like you have to be selective about only helping one aspect of things or whatever. And it's not like um I don't know where my mind was going. I like legit lost my train of thought.
That's quite all right. No, I get it. I don't think I'm going to stop having complex feelings about this, but I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
as long as, yeah, I think, I don't know. I'm not talking over anyone else. I'd like to amplify trans women of color voices, but
Yes.
unfortunately,
Um
online
uh
spaces are
uh
very segregated.
uh definitely definitely Miss Clairville C on sorry, I retreat a lot of trans women of color because like I also want to, I'm just like, because I'm like, I've got no money, but donation thing, like, retweet.
Yeah.
Like anytime there's donating to trans women of color, and I'm like, I try to listen, but definitely and like if I get a chance to, I definitely want to promote her uh clothing, her clothing line. I know she's uh trying to figure out um you know she's trying to get into filmmaking. I know she had a documentary type project. Sorry, I'm because I'm just like, yeah, that's at ms CLARABELLEC on Twitter. She talked a lot about the she managed to make it on the news about the Texas the serial killings
Yeah.
of trans women of color, and it's just yeah. Sorry, there's part of me that just like wants to bring her up as much as I can.
No,
Sometimes.
that's
No,
fine.
no, that.
I mean, um, yeah, it is. It is a very strange. I hadn't noticed until I had not noticed until recently when I started doing the interviews and stuff, and I wanted to get a broader range how segregated the online spaces are. Um, it's
Yeah, and I like I I didn't know they were so good. This is the first I'm hearing of how segregation online spaces are. I don't know. I totally maybe it's to some degree the way I was raised by by my parents. Maybe it's the fact that I was poor, so I was um uh like almost often like working with women of color, and it's just like, oh yeah, this is a person who probably has it rough. I'm gonna go and be supportive. I don't know how I mean, like, but yeah, the um Yeah. No, I kind of was offline for, or I didn't, I haven't really dealt much with online social stuff until um like March or May of this year. I I and like most of my online stuff was just like gaming. So
Yeah.
and a lot of that uh like I played a lot of Korean MMOs and stuff. So like I uh yeah, I forget that people sometimes I forget how segregated people are with attitudes, and they still are,
Yeah.
because that shit. My parents are weird compared to, well, not weird. They're what should be the normal.
Yes.
um, but like, yeah, like I was never, um, yeah, I never cared about who I was friends with, whether they were like, I had a friend in high school for a bit who was, you know, was uh, whose family came from Iraq, but he always said Iran in the school because he didn't want to get the hatred um, for that.
Oh yeah, that would
And
be for
yeah, and it's just like I don't know.
yeah, my one couple that the one couple who used to come over for football, she was always saying she's Persian, not Iranian, because that's our age cohort of who you're supposed to hate.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's just I don't know. Um, People still manage to have racist ass attitude.
Well, yeah, I guess there's that. Maybe.
Like buried deep down in the cultural aspects where it's just like, oh, these types of people are the only people I knew growing up, so these are the only people I'm going to connect with, type shit.
It's yeah, it's. I mean, being one of my primary social outlets is it is one of the. I mean, it is the strangest thing. And until and it's insidious in not being able to notice it. You know.
Here, well, I mean, I like some of this is also because I'm from a privileged ass position.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Because that's how it is with a lot of problems. Like it's very easy to not know problems that you don't, or not notice problems that you know you don't deal with, and because of how culture is set up, there's aspects of classism with the racism. So like if you uh, if you're white and you're working with other uh, working, above a certain pay grade, chances are you're working with other white people, and you're not seeing the people of color, or you're less likely to, and then there's less likely of just, and then any person of color that you're working with is likely just trying to make sure they can keep the job. So like they're not going to
Yeah.
feel comfortable being completely themselves either, necessarily.
Well,
Like and that just um, helps fuel like how people don't know, or people like me don't notice this shit.
I suppose, again, it was one of those, I don't know when I figured it out. So much of my life is I don't know when I figured it out. It's
I mean,
just a primary aspect of my life in general.
yeah.
And I don't even know that I'm right. I seem to
Well,
be.
yeah.
I've checked. Um, of course.
And, and um, that fits in with the stuff I've heard, because obviously, like, obviously with classism comes the you know the aspect that um, people with money like white people more than people of color,
No. Yeah.
and they like to, they're more likely to shove in transitioning money to a white person
Yeah.
than a person of color.
It's weird. Um,
It's the thing we don't talk about here in America. That we talk about it all the time, but we always do it with these hyperboles and not like the little racist things, the little cultural things of classism um, and racism and the things that get people stuck in the positions they are.
yeah, it's I I don't know. I suppose I'm gonna go with I don't know. I'm gonna just sit on that. Now I'm the one who's doing I don't know.
Yeah, now you're the one slurping. I don't know.
I mean, I do understand. Again, there's a strange, rich poor dynamic in my family as well. So,
Yeah.
um, that is not entirely. It's not race based because of being heavily mixed and all of that. And again, maybe that's it. I don't I don't know what it's like to grow up with money, but I also know that I come from a privileged background. Even um, so it's in both of those strange aspects.
Yeah. No, yeah, I get that, because like um I grew up lower middle class, so like I never had the fancy toys or whatnot, but I wasn't poor, and I knew I wasn't. I knew the people who were poorer than me, who you know. It's just like I know I'm not fucked,
Yeah,
but a lot of people like if I was poor, I wouldn't know that.
yeah,
Uh, and to be fair, I thought I was fucked, like, you know, for a lot of my life, anyways. But um, that's another story.
well, as part of the trans experience. I mean, even that, I went to art school, so it's kind of being trans, and even back then was not a huge deal. Um, That's why nobody has thought to bring up to me that I was out back then. I just started realizing how I was dressing in high school. uh, the even that, so being in that privileged position too, I didn't have, there's certain bits of transphobia I didn't experience. Weirdly enough, trans was slightly more gay was a little more difficult because of the being the 80s and stuff. And my
Oh yeah.
um
Although, yeah.
all of my boyfriends from back then are dead. So my girlfriends are all still alive, and my boyfriends are all dead. Go figure.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. No. Uh. I experienced some. Are I was aware of some of the transphobia in the 90s, or at the very least in the school I was at. Like, I mean, to be fair, the students, a lot of people were uh, uh, protesting it. It was a very middle class school. But like, yeah, because um, someone from the soccer class, there was like a weird soccer tradition where if they won the, I don't know if it was just the leader or the whole team or whatever, wore dresses, and one of a soccer person got in trouble for that, for wearing a dress in school.
Oh,
And it's just like, and they were very selective with when they got when people got in trouble for shit. Like, it was very like, I never got in trouble. So despite the fact that I should have, or no, I got in trouble once. But to be fair, I was being uh, uh, I didn't get in much trouble because I was being bullied. Um, but like, they were just, yeah, they're very selective in who they decided got in trouble for shit. But like that, like thinking back on it, I'm just like, they broke the law by doing that. Because Minnesota law was already the Minnesota law was already in place
yeah,
for trans protections, because Minnesota's really early on with that. So it's just like, yeah, Minnesota's a state that people don't think about, like how left wing it is.
yes. You have that one streak of red, and everything else is blue. I mean, Buffalo itself is very, 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 very fucking blue. It's,
Yeah.
the last, um, although the congressman who just got arrested, the Republican congressman who got arrested for insider trading. See, now I'm going to really place myself where I am in Buffalo. Is the next district over? So, you know.
It's fine. People won't start to care until you reach like 1,000 subscribers, and by then you'll have moved into like the nice fancy house you got.
Yeah,
from,
on my
from
cool
having 1,000 YouTube subscribers.
and my cool 0.025 cents per ads.
Um, yeah. No, it's just, yeah. There's stuff that people experience, and there's stuff that people don't experience, and like, um obviously we have the privilege
Yeah.
of of uh, of paler skin. I mean, it's slightly more than that, but um, uh, in terms of the shit people focus on, but that's a large part. Um,
Yeah.
at least for the past 100 years. After whatever, after Irish people start to be considered white or whatever.
Yes, I've always been taken for Irish, and I have like nothing about it in me. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably from the propaganda because I you're mixed or whatever. So and there's all the propaganda about Irish being like the white N-word type shit,
It's my
or the whatever reverse N-word, whatever. The fucking I don't know. People have fucking nuts ass attitude. I never asked about swearing. Is it okay for me to swear? I've been swearing a lot.
I am just I tend not to swear on here, but the last one I did, I swore a lot. I'm it's just I don't smoke on camera either. Although now, but I did
Yeah.
last week too. So I don't mind. I just don't. I don't do it. I don't mind hearing
Yeah.
songs with swearing in it. I don't write them.
Yeah. And my parent, like, the thing is, I grew up. I don't actually swear. Well, I don't know how much it counts as swearing. My sisters swear more than me,
It's my
I think.
kids. My kid is potty mouth. So
But my parents were just like, the swear words are just words, whatever.
yeah, it's
Just don't just don't say them in school.
was pretty much what what it was for me too. It was kind of okay, as long as you know what the words mean, you're fine. Which
Yeah,
again, a bizarre dichotomy in their backgrounds and how
yeah,
I was raised, which was both abusive and accepting. Maybe that's my dichotomy for everything, is that it's I yeah, I'll just go with that. I have nothing further. I mean, I have lots further to say, but I have nothing further to say at the same time.
well, yeah, and um, like back to uh uh trans women of color, because they are what
This is where we
the
started.
the
Yeah.
focus needs to be. Yeah, and and definitely I want to make sure to try to bring that back whenever possible. It like no, I don't actually have a lot more to say. I think that might be part of my problem, because it's like, do what you can.
Well, we've
Do
been. Oh,
yeah
okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt that. That was.
yeah no, that's fine. I totally get that. Uh, Whatever. There's a conversation between whatever. I'm a
That's
worrier. I'm a warrior too, so like I instantly like, no, I would be the exact same way. I apologize all the time for shit too.
yeah. Just stop doing that. My no. The well, we have been going a little over an hour, so and
Yeah,
and talking for an
and
hour.
and yeah, and we start to go off topic, and the
Yes.
topic is super important. Um, so I assume at the very least we should you know uh, close talking about that. in that, like, say the last things before about that
Yeah,
before the recording stops.
I think what is I th- I still have complex feelings, but I think I know where
Yeah,
they come from now. Which is it's okay to have complex feelings. It's a complex topic, really. I
yeah,
mean, you have a very simple topic of transphobia and racism, but the layers of that are different are weird. And I have all sorts of privilege that I didn't earn. It just happens to be the way I look,
yeah.
And I've been conscious of that always. Um, like like I said, my sister would be more white than me, but looks much more Spanish, as does my mom. As does my brother. So it's so I don't know. I'm not I'm not going for white guilt either, which is not.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, by all means, if you're white, feel guilty. I mean, do that, but please, because there's a lot to feel
Well,
at least
I
aware
mean,
of.
yeah. I mean, maybe. Um, I, I mean, I guess I recognize, there are fucked up aspects of my past, and they're, that still ring true today. But like, I can't change the past. I don't have a time machine.
Yeah,
Um, like the best I can do is what I can do to try to help, and trans women of color definitely need the most help, and uh, uh, yeah, and um, yeah, my opinion uh, shouldn't influence you more than Miss Claire Velsey at MSCLARABELLEC on Twitter. I'm definitely uh, I respect her opinion a lot, and
yeah,
I do think she should be listened to, and part of the reason why I keep bringing her, why I brought her up at least I think just twice, is just I don't. It's so easy for me to be afraid of talking over, and I want to talk over transformative color, and definitely yeah. Uh, um, yeah, I don't know what else to say.
I think I think just being sure not to. That was my concern at the beginning, was to take away from to take their stories instead of carry them, which I was the exact phrasing I wanted. I was like, I should write that down before I go to sleep. But it stuck with me. So
Yeah, and yeah, I don't think, or I know my opinion is only like so important, but I like, yeah, it needs to be out there. The issues that happen with transgender color, and you're not pretending that your issues are the same.
No.
And I think that's like the big thing that you shouldn't do. I think this is the thing that happens sometimes when people talk about how many trans women get killed. They don't factor in the fact that it's mostly trans women of color. Like that fact gets glossed over a lot. And I think not doing that helps. Not glossing over the fact that it's trans women of color getting killed.
Well, yeah. That is the. Well, I'm not going. I don't gloss. I won't gloss over that. And in a way, having a fellow pale person.
Yeah.
I wasn't. If there is value in doing this way, because I would be more afraid that if it was if I was talking to a person of color, I'd be more looking for absolution, which is not where I'm going with all of this.
Gotcha.
I wasn't. I wanted to talk it from a similar perspective.
Okay. Yeah, and to some degree, in general, like, I'm aware of the privilege I have. I know that privilege isn't going to change overnight. Chances are I will be heard more than a trans woman of color, just by the nature of my skin color. And I do want to be out there as much as I can, but I also want to help lift others up with me.
And that's all we can do, I think, in the end. But all right, so basically the takeaway is carry the stories, don't take them, which is, like I said, that's what I came in with. And stop looking for absolution, you bastards, because that's not what the point of the whole thing is. I don't know. I usually call the closing up here the YouTube paragraph. I'm not going to do that. I'm not even going to like and subscribe off of this. Fuck it. I have all that stuff, but
will you promote me?
I will. Of course, I promote. Ozma in the Dark is.
Yeah, I still have less than 100 subscribers. Once you have 100 subscribers on YouTube, you can change the channel name to make it easier to find. Like, I'm Ozma in the Dark on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram. Those are the main ones I show up in. But yeah.
That's why almost everything that I'm online is Christy Abbey or Christiane Abbey, but I get it. Yeah, branding. We have to do branding and not in a fun way. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Yeah, I know.
I am tattooless.
Like, my brain went right back to the racism aspects of America.
Oh shit, that is not where I was going.
I know that's not where you're going with that. But that's where my mind went. And so I'm saying it out loud.
My mind probably should have, but anyways, let me get off of that. bitch at me on Twitter at normalityquake, one word. But it's normality and quake. I never promote that for some reason. But I suppose if people are going to bitch at me about this particular one, that would be a good place. That would be a good place to do it. And so I don't really have an outro to everybody. Your voice matters, you matter, your life matters. And tomorrow is to remember the trans people who have been killed, and they are primarily women of color. So please keep that in mind. And thank you, Alex, for being on. I really did appreciate it. I know you stepped in a little bit last minute, and we don't know each other that well.
I'm trying to show up everywhere, so I'm really easy.
The person who is going to be on is probably less able to talk to this than you are. So that's, that's actually probably a good thing. All right. I'm going to get out of here because I actually have to go deal with my doctor now again. And well, thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you for having me on.
Anytime. We'll actually do this for a real talk about lives and stuff, because I'm eternally curious about lives and shit. I want to hear people's story, whoever it is.
Yeah.
Except Nazis. I don't want to hear your story. I kind of do too, actually.
Well, you definitely.
I don't want to hear your shit. I don't want to hear your story.
Definitely make sure to have Miss Claire Vilsey's story. It's at MSCLAREAVELLEC.
Yes, I will do that. All right. Let me actually hit the stop here, and once again, thank you, and have a good day, everybody. Bye.